Hello everybody and welcome to the United Stand. It's Friday, there's a Manchester United match tomorrow and this is your Ole Gunnar Solskjaer press conference reaction and latest Manchester United transfer news. And I'm looking in the live comments and I can see people saying that's a terrible interview by Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, which I understand why you would say that, but ultimately I think there's some big key takeaways. We'll talk about this Jadon Sancho bid in a moment as well, but I think from that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer interview, very, very pissed off with players who won't leave the club. Very, very pissed off with the lack of transfer activity. And Lindelof's getting dropped. They're my three big takeaways that I think, I'd be pretty guaranteed that's how Ole Gunnar Solskjaer feels. I think people are saying it was a bad interview because you didn't get a lot of positive sound bites. But that in itself, in the non-communication way, just means I can tell you now, I've heard it from people anyway, but it's very obvious, very visible, that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is very, very pissed off with what's going on at Manchester United Football Club. And there were some really telling sort of flippant remarks about people like Chris Smalling and Rojo and Romero and others, which we'll talk about in a moment. He was also asked about the centre-back situation. But let's start off with Jadon Sancho because the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was asked about transfers and he said the same old thing that, if there's anything for you to report, I'll let you know. But last night there was a story in the Mirror. Now the Mirror is not reliable. It's not reliable. That, in my opinion, I don't think the Mirror is a reliable source for football news. This is the outlet that said the 50 million down the drain about Anthony Martial. But I think at this juncture, any Man United fan will take any news of a Jadon Sancho bid as being gospel. The reality is this is coming from the Mirror. This is not coming from Fabrizio Romano, Christian Falk, Athletic, or even Manchester Evening News. People who have got good sources around Manchester United or agents involved in this deal. So what they're basically saying last night, the Mirror, is that Manchester United or Ed Woodward next week will make a take it or leave it offer for Jadon Sancho. There will be no more negotiations. It will be £90 million, 75 million up front with 15 million in add-ons. What I would say to Ed Woodward, don't waste your computer energy. Don't waste your finger energy because it will get rejected. If your take it or leave it offer after 4 months of negotiation is £75 million plus 15 million in add-ons, which is less than what Chelsea have done a deal for Havertz anyway, and it's way less than what Dortmund have publicly said the price is, you are the prats we think you are. So that will not get accepted. It is a waste of time and welcome to Prattsville because it won't get accepted. But what I would say is that's from the Mirror, and maybe there is enough of a story there that something is going to happen. They've just not got the figures right, because remember what Romano said back in August, late July, that a deal was very close for Manchester United and Dortmund, and for a deal to be close, Man United must have been offering around 90 million up front. So I don't believe the Mirror in relation to the facts of that deal. I've seen somebody else this morning saying that Manchester United still feel that they can do this deal for Jadon Sancho, but there's probably only a 20% chance. What? 20%? 90%? Anyway, so look, there is noise around Jadon Sancho. You've got to be very careful about this. The noise around Jadon Sancho could be because we've got 10 days left in a transfer window that's dying a death generally. There's not a lot going on. And the press need to build this up, so they start talking about Sancho and United. So there might be absolutely nothing going on in relation to a bid coming in, or we might be building this momentum towards a late deal. But what I would say is, and the Manchester Evening News said it yesterday, Jadon Sancho remains Manchester United's top priority for this transfer window. And I can tell you that that is still true. So we're just going to have to see what happens with it. But I don't believe that bid, it will get rejected, and I don't believe that Manchester United would make a take it or leave it bid for something. They may as well offer a packet of crisps. 75 million plus add-ons, they may as well offer Phil Jones. It's going to get rejected. I would play Van der Beek over Pogba. Pogba is not on form, says CV Kevin. Welcome to the Members Club, Miguel Willer and David Rook, thanks for the super chat. And I feel like a bid would be made, but the Mirror's figures are wrong. Makes no sense to go from an unofficial bid of 90 plus 18 to 75 plus 15 in add-ons, says Aditi. Well, it doesn't make any sense, but this is Manchester United, so you never know. We'll come back to that in a moment. It seems like Sancho or nothing, says Thogden. Either Thogden is stalking me or we're converting him into a Manchester United fan. Either way, it's good news. Well, maybe not for me. But no, look, I think one name we've not mentioned, to be fair, is Telles. I think Telles will happen. Maybe that news yesterday that it was going to happen in the next 24 to 48 hours, maybe not true, but let's see what happens with that today. But United, again, are taking a lot of time over deals, and I think it's going to be Telles and Sancho, because actually, if we move into Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's press conference now, please smash a like on the video if you're new. He was asked about centre-back options. I think it might have been Simon Stone who asked him. He said, centre-back options, you've got a lot of defenders. Are you likely to see a centre-back coming in? We're not going to see a centre-back coming in. I'm going to tell you this now. We won't see a centre-back. Unless they do something amazingly shocking, then we will not see a centre-back coming into Manchester United. I can't see that happening. And especially in light of what Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has just said, I think he's delivered the blow to that deal. We needed a centre-back. I know Ole wanted a centre-back. He's not going to get a centre-back. And I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has come out and basically confirmed that. Who's the second player Malakians was talking about, says Rajat. I'm doing a video on that this afternoon, so make sure you watch that. Do you think Dortmund would take 90 million plus Dan James as get to hyper? No, I don't think they rate Dan James that highly, to be honest with you. So he was asked about centre-back options. He said, we've got a lot of players. We've got a very good defensive record last season. Last week wasn't good enough, but Eric and Harry looked like they were a good partnership, and it's good to have Eric back, part of the team now. To me, this is danger. I've heard this crap before. I don't like to associate this with Ole, because I think he's fighting a losing battle, and what can he do? He can't come out and say I needed a centre back and I didn't get one. The board's crap. He'd be gone by lunchtime. So he has to come out and back this board, like Mourinho had to at times, like Van Gaal did. And at the end, you end up just sitting down on a sword. It's going to be painful, because what he's come out with is just nonsense. The defensive record was really good last season. The defensive record was I think we had the third best defence in the Premier League. But we were 30-something points off Liverpool. And Chelsea came fourth and they lost 12 games. I think collectively, every team in the Premier League, apart from Liverpool, had a crap defence last year. I don't think there's any joy in having the third best defence when everybody had a crap defence. I thought Harry Maguire and Lindelof were shaky all season. I think we played very defensive football for a lot of the season. So we weren't going to concede many goals with two centre defence midfielders and a back five at times. Maguire and Lindelof don't work. Eric Bailly is better than Lindelof, but is he? As I said last night, I don't think Eric Bailly is a superb defender. He's just better than Lindelof, and he's fast. Eric Bailly very rarely stays fit. So what we're basically being told is we don't need a centre-back because we've got Eric Bailly. Well, that's not worked well for the last 3 years. He will get injured. He will make mistakes. Then you're going to go and rely on Lindelof again, who will make mistakes. Maguire will make mistakes. Twansebi and Mengi, we don't even know, we hope. Jones and Rojo, forget about it. Smalling's going to leave. So this centre-back discussion that, we don't need a centre-back. We need a centre-back. It's just another area that this football club has let the manager down in. And Ollie has to big up. Oh, I've got Bailly now. I've got, that centre-back is an issue. We've got issues. And Maguire, let's not let Maguire off the hook. Everyone says who's going to play with Maguire. To be honest with you, if Lindelof hadn't made that mistake last week that he did, then I think it would still be Lindelof or Maguire for me. Hi, Mark. Do you think that this might be a PR spin by the board to save their face and work away from the deal? And I don't think it's going to work, says David Rook. And welcome to Shane Murphy, latest member of the United Stand Members Club. And I'm sure Dortmund would take 90 million plus 18 million add-ons if the add-ons are just goals and appearances related and not about what the club does, says Mark Thompson. Exactly. Hi, Mark. Love the show. Wondering whether you have seen the video of Rio Ferdinand telling how he got treated on his last league game for United by Ed, says Yamcha. Yeah, we spoke about it earlier in the week, mate. Yeah, we have spoken about that. So, disgusting as per usual from Manchester United. So, no centre-back coming in for Manchester United. We'll go with what we've got. Lindelof will be dropped tomorrow. I picked that up from Ollie from the way he was speaking about Eric and Harry. Lindelof will be dropped tomorrow. I know I said he might pick him in my preview yesterday, but I still put Bailly in. I'll be stunned if Lindelof plays tomorrow. That would be as bad as picking McTominay as centre defensive midfielder last week. He can't pick Lindelof. It's got to be Bailly tomorrow. And whether Bailly and Maguire are good enough to be a Premier League winning partnership, no, they're not. They're not Premier League winning partnership. We should have bought a centre-back, but they're the best partnership we've got for tomorrow. We haven't got a new centre-back. We're going to have to go with the best of what we've got. I hope that Twansebi and Mengi, to a certain extent, can develop this season and start challenging for first-team slots, because if Lindelof, Maguire and Bailly are our three best centre-backs, we will concede goals this season. We will lose points. So But I think from the way Ollie's talking, Lindelof will definitely be dropped tomorrow and Bay will play, which I think is the right thing to do. He was also asked about selling players and keeping players like Romero, Smalling, Rojo, Chansey happy when they should be getting first team football. And I think this is where the frustration from Solskjaer came out about not being able to sell players, because whilst it's the board's fault for giving those players money, like we were talking about last night, and whilst it's very difficult to sell a player that's on 80 grand a week like Rojo because he's crap, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer said it's not my job to keep those players happy. They have to keep themselves fit, motivated and ready in case I need to use them. And I think that was a dig out at those players from a frustrated manager who doesn't want these players at the club, knows that these players being at the club prevent him buying new players. I mean, at the end of the day, Rojo, Smalling and Jones probably have to go before we can buy a centre-back. It's not Ollie's fault that he can't get rid of them. It's not Ollie's fault that Woodward and everyone are useless. And it's not Ollie's fault that those players lack motivation and just want to earn their money and they're not looking to make moves. And I think, you can quite rightly say it's not the players' fault. Why should they go and earn 20 grand at West Ham when they can stay at United and earn 80 grand and just drive into work in a roller and have a little bit of a run around? But I think what you get from Solskjaer is a frustration. It's not my job to make these players happy. I've got players I want to pick, and if they're not being picked, they've got to stay motivated, work hard, and be there ready if I need them. And I think what essentially he's saying there is that these players are not motivated, they're not happy, but they're happy to come into training every day earning their money when I'm not going to use them. Why won't they go? And I think that, I understand Ollie's point of view, but I also understand the players' point of view. Why should they go and earn less money when they're on big money here? And this is the problem that's been created by the board. You've got an unhappy manager with players that he's inherited that are crap on big money, that he doesn't want to be here, that he doesn't want to play, but the board can't remove these players, and the players are saying, well, we're not going to go for anything less than this. So it's a vicious circle, and it's a big problem for Ollie, but it is a frustrated manager who's, probably sat there going, look, I'm never going to play you. I know you're on good money, but I'm never going to play you. So why don't you go and sort yourself a move somewhere? Because I'm not going to play you. And look, these players have got agents, so I think Ollie's right on that. He was also asked about Smalling and, the chances of Smalling playing. And I don't know how you read this, but he basically said, well, things will need to change. If he doesn't move, things will need to change. And I almost read that there was an issue between Smalling and the club, which I'm not aware of, but because I think Smalling's a model professional. I quite like Smalling, and I might have been reading it wrong. He might have been saying, well, if Smalling isn't trying to go to Roma and he wants to commit his future to here, we'll get him back involved. But I definitely sense the frustration from Solskjaer around the deadwood that he can't get rid of because he's got a net board. If Liverpool sign Sarr, is he still a bad signing in your view, or is he actually a good signing but only for an already established side like Liverpool, says Shuddy. Fantastic question, that. I think Ismail Sarr would be a good signing for Liverpool because he would go onto their bench and he would be a bench player as a backup to Salah. If we buy Ismail Sarr instead of Sancho, he'd go into our first team. There's a big difference there. But Ismail Sarr is a good signing for Liverpool to be a bench player. He's a bad signing for Manchester United to put in the first team to close a gap on Liverpool. In fact, it's logical. How can you close a gap on Liverpool by buying a player they want to put on their bench? It's a massive risk. It's a waste of money. It's not ambitious. La-di-da. It's all of that. Talking about the game tomorrow, Ollie did say that fitness is going to be important. We weren't ready for the game against Crystal Palace fitness-wise. We've got to see some improvement tomorrow. I'm very excited about that, actually. He was asked if there was any confidence about... Sorry, he was asked about ins and outs and the fans becoming edgy about that. He said, this is a line that we're not going to like, but what do you want him to say? He said, I'm confident in my players that I'm working with at the moment, and ins and outs, if we have any, we'll update you on that. Who would you suggest in the centre-back position we need to buy and the extra unwanted players need to be sold? Total blunder, says Suhel. Well, look, I've only seen him play probably 1 or 2 times, but do you not think that Gabriel, that Arsenal have bought, a left-sided, quick centre-back for 25 million, is better than most of the defenders we've got? And I'm not saying Gabriel won't end up being a flop, because mostly Arsenal players do, but I think they've even bought a different Gabriel at centre-back and he flopped. But on the face of it, that looked like a sort of signing that United should do. Look, Badiashile at Monaco, similar sort of price. there'll be 10 other centre-backs that you can tell me about across Europe that with good scouting are available for about 20 million. I mean, Upamecano for 45 million, that's a deal that Man United should be doing. 45 million would get you Upamecano. I guarantee you Leipzig would take that because they're going to have to let him go for, I think, 40. I don't know whether it's 40 million or 40 million euros, which is 35. They're going to have to let him go for that in a year's time anyway. So there are centre-backs United could have gone for, but I do and have said this for the last couple of nights now. United are struggling to buy players because we need to sell players and we've not been able to do it. So, that's where we are with that. Abraham says that Badiashile is sick, but yeah, Gabriel would be our fourth choice centre-back behind Twansebi and above Lindelof, says Abraham. Well, you know what? I disagree with that. I disagree with that. I don't know where this... Look, I do know where it comes from. It's optimism, isn't it? Oh, Mengi, I can't wait to see him play. He's going to be the best centre-back in the league. Twansebi's elite. I've seen Twansebi play for Manchester United and I've seen him play for Aston Villa. There is a potential there. He's been out for a year. A year. He is classed as injury-prone at this moment in time. Eric Bailly is injury-prone. You need a centre-back partnership that can play 80% of your games at least. We don't have a centre-back that can do that. The only centre-back pairing we can rely on is Lindelof and Maguire, and it ain't good enough. We can't rely on Bailly and Maguire because they have no past fitness record together. We can't rely on Twansebi and Maguire because Twansebi's not established and he's also had injury issues. We can't rely on Mengi and Maguire because Mengi's never kicked a ball in the Premier League yet. So United or any club that aspires to be a title challenger would have bought a centre-back based on the evidence I've just given you there. You wouldn't go into a season trying to close gaps on Liverpool and Man City with 3-4 centre-back combinations that realistically have issues. Eric Bailly and Maguire, fitness issues. Twansebi and Maguire, fitness issues. Mengi and Maguire, it's a young player who's never played in the league before. Lindelof and Maguire never played together. And you can recombinise those centre-back pairings, but ultimately you come to the same result. There's massive risk attached to all four of those combinations. And look, you can keep changing those combinations around injuries and lack of form, but all the best sides have a centre-back pairing that plays consistently together. And we don't have that. And that's why we should have bought a centre-back. And that is why United have failed the manager again. Do you actually know what consider and monitoring mean? We only get that terminology on United targets. Are these the words being briefed by the club? Says Shuddy. I think monitoring is a word that does get briefed out from sources somewhere associated with the club because many different news outlets use it, whether it's Simon Stone, Manchester Evening News. We hear the word monitoring. I think what monitoring means, and it's a good question, is in the case of Reguilon last week when we were monitoring FC, I think Manchester United basically were like, if this deal can be done for the price we want, and we're not involved in a bidding war, and we're not involved in buyback clauses, we are interested. But at this moment in time, we feel we can't get in for the price we want. There may be a bidding war, and therefore we wouldn't go in. So we're monitoring. I think with Telles, we are monitoring because we will not pay what Porto want. We want to pay, as we said last night, some ridiculously cheap fee because he's out of contract. So therefore, we're monitoring. We're not in, because if we go in, people will expect us to come out. With Jadon Sancho, we're not monitoring. United are not monitoring Jadon Sancho. United have agreed terms with Jadon Sancho and his agent, and Jadon Sancho is Manchester United's number one priority. So take whatever confidence you want from that. We are not monitoring Sancho. I've never heard the words Manchester United are monitoring Jadon Sancho. That's not been briefed by anybody. Jadon Sancho is our top priority. That is coming from Manchester Evening News, and I've heard it from other places. Those outlets do have links in with the club. Have they heard it from the club? I don't know. Have they heard it from a source to the club? I don't know. But Manchester United and Sancho has never been monitoring. Manchester United and Sancho has always been top priority. They want this deal. The player wants the deal. We've agreed terms with the player. It's about, that deal, whether they do touch it or not. I've always said this. I've said this for 7 weeks now. The Jadon Sancho deal to Manchester United is so close you can almost touch it. And that is why some fans, even if there is an hour to go on transfer deadline day, will say it can happen. I won't go into transfer deadline day at 90%. Not unless there's momentum the day before. If we go into transfer deadline day like we feel today, like there's nothing really other than what we've got today, that deal's not happening. We won't be able to touch it, within a few hours. But we can escalate it in a couple of days. So it is so close you can touch it because it's just it's an agreement with Dortmund. It's not an agreement with the player or anything like that. Would you have taken Thiago Silva for the season until we get cover for next season, says Sean Byrne. Cover for what? Kane Williams says Lingard to Tottenham for 10 to 15 million pounds. I don't know. I don't know what. I'm just trying to think of what a fair price for Jesse Lingard would be. I don't know what Jesse Lingard would go for. I don't know that Jesse Lingard's going to leave, but I think at this late stage, Manchester United may need to let players go that clubs want, because we can't buy players for players that we want to sell. We can't sell Rojo. We can't sell Jones, but we might be able to sell Dan James and Jesse Lingard. We can't sell Pereira. And I know for a fact the club would love to sell Rojo, Jones and Pereira ahead of Lingard and James, but at the end of the day, it's a buyer's market, and we need to get money in. Welcome to Jordan Holmes, latest member of the United Stand Members Club. And if the Sancho bid is real, that shows a whole new level of incompetence from the Glazers and the board, says Stuart Taylor. I still think we're living in a world where you're very angry, but how angry are you going to be when Jadon Sancho signs? I still think this will resolve a lot of United fans' anger. I don't think it should. I still think this deal has been done ridiculously late if it happens, and I also think that we haven't done enough deals this summer to provide a platform. I mean, to be honest with you, if Jadon Sancho turned out for Manchester United tomorrow and Alex Tellers' deal was done, I would say we're still battling. We're probably still going to finish fourth. I don't think I mean, this is a very good point, and I don't normally big up my points, but I don't know what you feel, but if we add Sancho and Telles to this team, do you think we're closing the gap on Liverpool and City? Because I don't. I don't think Sancho and Telles close that gap. I don't think they've been brought in early enough. I don't think we've sold enough. I don't think we've brought a centre-back in. I don't feel that the momentum going into this season is right. Even if we get Sancho and Telles, I don't think you're going to change the mood or momentum of this team drastically. I don't think we can come into this season with the positivity and confidence that we needed to. I think we're always playing catch-up because we've got a game in hand and we lost our first game. I think there's a lot of issues around the club. I think there's a lot of issues in the fan base. I think there's a lot of issues between Ollie and the board. Whatever late activity they do now, I don't think it's going to... I think we've come into this season ill-prepared, and I think we will end up probably in fourth and at best battling for third. I think the gap's going to be big between us and Liverpool again, regardless of what we do, because regardless of what we do, I think we've had a terrible transfer window. And look, people will say, well, if you get Sancho in, that's amazing. It is still a fantastic deal and we'll all celebrate it, but the bigger picture doesn't change for me. I think we've had a bad window, and I think the season has started, and Chelsea had a good window and they did most of it before the season started. So the writing's on the wall. No backing means a January sacking for Ollie. Hope our fans can see this and get behind Ollie and the group of player lads, because we need to back him to fight the board, says Magic Sahota. And hi Mark, I love the show. If the process repeats and Ollie will get sacked by the end of the season, who should replace him, or does it not matter anymore, says Exos TV. Thanks for becoming a member, Jordan, by the way. Thanks everyone who does click the join button and support the channel. I've got no appetite to talk about a new manager. I've got no appetite to speculate about a new manager. I wouldn't do it out of respect to Ollie anyway, but I absolutely have no excitement. And I know some of you do, and it's all about opinion. I'm tired. I wake up every day tired, exhausted, and most of that tiredness is it's not because I'm watching Netflix till 1 o'clock in the morning. Last couple of nights I've been falling asleep at about 11. I never do that. I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted from this football club. It's draining. It's absolutely if you care about this football club, it is draining at the moment. I've got no excitement in me at all about a new manager coming into this club. I had that with Mourinho, I had it with Van Gaal, I had it with Moyes. And look, there are better managers than Ollie, even though I support him. Of course there are. But I wouldn't want Jurgen Klopp at United because he's a Liverpool manager. But even if Jurgen Klopp went, I hate Liverpool, Manchester United is my favourite job, spit on Liverpool and come to United. And he's never going to do that because he loves Liverpool. But even if he did, I'm going to make Manchester United great. I wouldn't get excited by that, because I'd be like, you're not going to make Manchester United great. To me, it's the most blunt, obvious thing in the world around Manchester United at the moment is that no manager can succeed at that football club with this board. It can't. The evidence is there, the facts are there, whatever you want to call it. No manager at this football club can succeed. And whatever you think about Solskjaer, we finished third last year. Do you think there's a manager out there that can make us finish above Man City or Liverpool? Because I don't. I don't think that United side can finish above third with the best manager in the world. It needs investment, it needs removal of players, and it needs building. And whether Ollie or any other manager can do that, it needs building. This board won't build it. So it doesn't matter who you put, whoever's at the wheel, they can't get better than third. So look, there are better managers than Ollie, of course there are, but they won't do any better than third. So to me, I've got no. If Ollie gets sacked and we bring a new manager in, I think I'll feel even sadder than I do now. You know, until they start giving us proper backing, then we won't succeed. So that's how I feel about that. Mirdle says you're wrong. Well, tell me why I'm wrong. You can't just say you're wrong. Tell me why I'm wrong, because I think you're wrong. And I think, to be honest with you, I don't think you understand what's going on at the football club. I think you're a naive, shallow fan to say I'm wrong, because I'm strong on this opinion. And it's all about opinion, and I'd like to read out why I'm wrong, but there are years of, we've had Jose Mourinho, one of the best managers in the world, failed. Louis van Gaal, look, all right, he was coming towards the end. He had some odd ideas at the end, but he failed. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer will fail, and any other manager will fail, because we've got a very, very, very clear cycle of what happens here. A new manager comes in, they get backed with players, they get us close, whether it be second or third. You need to take that next step, but because we've got Champions League football, they go, "Oh, that's cash flow we can pocket." They stop spending. The brakes go on, we start to fail, they sack a manager, and we start again. And we've seen it happen year after year after year with different managers. Making United great again is not possible for any manager on earth. It's a question of ownership. We should think who is best to own United, says Anish, which I agree with. 90 million is a fair price for Sancho. Dortmund should take it and stop being greedy, says Reflection. But it's not 90 million, is it? It's 75 million with add-ons that probably... The add-ons could be things like Jadon Sancho finds a cure for coronavirus. Jadon Sancho, becomes the president of America. Jadon Sancho scores 100 goals in a month. The add-ons that United terms add could be ridiculous. So it won't be enough. It won't be enough. Benson Thomas says, we as fans should use our brains now. Enough with the emotions. Mark, you're right. No one is going to succeed at this club with this board. And interesting that when we asked Klopp to be our manager, he turned us down because he said it doesn't feel right. Bet that has to do with our board. He did what he actually said. What Klopp actually said. Manchester United felt like Disney World, whereas Liverpool felt like a club. Exactly. Mark, would Klopp or Pep win the league with this United team? Says Kimber. No. Like, that is the most fantastical thing I've ever heard. They would not win the league with this team. I don't think they'd even finish second. They just wouldn't do it. It's just not good enough. I think the only problem with the board is, says Aryan, they don't understand the exact role of a manager in a club's success, especially in the modern game. Ollie is great, he's definitely not the right guy. And someone tweeted to Sky Sports yesterday saying that they were proud of Man United's board for being stubborn to Dortmund's price. That baffles me, says Jordan Holmes. It was probably it's probably Woodward on his burner account. We just need to get these deals done now. It's dragging, says Thomas Jeffrey. And Mark, this board is incompetent regardless if we sign Sancho. It's a shame that the majority of the fan base will forget about the ownership and the board's incompetence and sheer disregard for us, the fans, says Dylan Taylor. Well, look, I said this to Frex last night. I think if Jadon Sancho signs for Manchester United, the vast majority of you will forget about the incompetence of this board and the car crash of the transfer window, because Jadon Sancho's wearing the number 7 and everyone will start talking about winning the league again. This is how they'll get away with it. But they've got to do that deal first, and many people think they won't. If you are Dortmund, will you sell Sancho for 75 million plus 15 million add-ons, says Water Boy? Never in a million years. As I said last night, if that is a real bid, I'm telling you now, don't make it. It's embarrassing. If that's your bid, take it or leave it. Don't bid. If we're going to offer 75 million plus 15 million in add-ons for Sancho and it's take it or leave it, I'll tell you what, don't bid. Just don't even embarrass us. Do not bid. It's not enough. We all know it's not enough. Simple as. Anyway, look, thanks everyone for watching. Please smash a like on the video. We've got a match tomorrow against Brighton, which I'm really looking forward to. I just woke up. Did we actually bid on Sancho, says Alfie? There's talk of a take it or leave it bid, but I don't think it's going to happen, to be honest with you. Not at that price. But I still think we'll sign Sancho. Still 90% on it, but, you know, a lot of you won't be. That's just the way it is. We'll see what happens. But look, thanks everyone for watching. Smash a like. We'll be back later on this afternoon. Got a video planned, and also 8 o'clock tonight. And then tomorrow lunchtime, big game against Brighton. It's a must win. To me, I know why people said Ollie's press conference was bad. I don't think it was bad. I just don't think it was very positive, because I don't think there's a lot to be positive about at the moment. I think Ollie's mood reflects our mood. Very fed up, very tired, very drained. And yeah, we need a win tomorrow. We do. We need some positivity and a win. And then we need to get a couple of players in because time is running out. Have a fantastic day. It's Friday. Chin up. Speak to you all soon.